Recently, the 5th anniversary of the Shandong aircraft carrier's induction into the Navy, China television channel published a special report on the Shandong ship's 5-year trajectory and the formation of combat power. Although the main material may still come from the video footage taken in October when the Navy's Liaoning and Shandong ships formed a dual-carrier battle group in the South China Sea, it is still full of details. The first thing to say, of course, is that the aircraft carrier Shandong Carrier Aircraft Carrier Force establishment. For a long time, the Chinese Navy's aircraft carriers have been equipped with only one type of fixed-wing carrier-based fighter, the J-15. This type of fighter is a kind of shipborne aircraft which reaches the technical level of the middle model of the 4th-generation fighter, using the plane's slit-array, full waveform fire control radar, and the typical avionics and fire control system of the 4th-generation fighter. The air combat performance is equivalent to that of the J-11B, which was not modified before the MLU technology was added, and the attack performance on the opposite side is similar to that of the JB-7A. Overall combat capability, an F/A-18C/D Lot 20 fighter is similar, behind the U.S. Navy F/A-18E/F and the French Navy Rafale M to have 4.5 generation of fighter level of the shipboard aircraft, not to mention the 5th generation of aircraft. However, from the reported Shandong ship action video, Shandong ship's carrier aircraft in the implementation of the deck positioning and readiness, you can clearly see that there are a few carrier aircraft and J-15 type ships slightly different, such as the use of light-colored diagonal-cut radome without airspeed tube, the use of a word wing-tip hangars. No doubt, this is in the current China Airshow has just debuted the J-15T type carrier aircraft. Compared to the J-15 carrier aircraft, the engine used by the J-15T should be the more powerful AL-31 Set.45, and the avionics and fire control systems have also been upgraded to the level equivalent to that of the J-11D fighter. This is similar to the F/A-18E/F Block 3.4.5 generation of shipborne aircraft, will greatly enhance the Shandong ship's aviation combat capability. At the same time, the video also for the first time publicized Shandong ship recovery and takeoff J15DH type carrier aircraft video. We also for the first time clear Shandong on board the J15D type with the fleet of electric impedance aircraft has its own exclusive type J15DH. The last letter H should be the meaning of skidding type. This seems to prove that the J15D was first used as a supporting program for the catapult carriers, and after a modification, the H-type was added to support the program for the 2 slip-and-fly carriers. However, with the addition of the J-15DH carrier aircraft to the carrier force of the USS Shandong, it can at least ensure that the J-15 carrier aircraft can be accompanied and covered by electronic warfare aircraft when attempting opposite attack, air-to-sea, and missile anti-ship missions. What's more, it can ensure that the J-15 carrier-based aircraft have a more complete system when facing the 5th-generation fighters. With the support of the shore-based AWACS and the accompanying electric countermeasures aircraft, as well as the shipborne ESM system, it can carry out the early warning and precise positioning for the 5th-generation fighters. All in all, the official launch of the J-15D carrier-based aircraft has greatly improved the air-to-air, sea-to-surface, and sea-to-sea combat systems of the aircraft carrier Shandong. Of course, from the video released by CCTV, it seems that there are still some shortcomings in the J-15DH. It only carries 2 electronic warfare pods when landing on the ship, while the J-15D, which has passed through the field from the China Airshow, carries 4 large electronic warfare pods. These 2 pods and 4 pods clearly have scaled down functionality and insufficient RF power. It is not clear whether there is a reservation in the landing test, or the J-15DH carrier aircraft exceeds the maximum takeoff weight of the skid takeoff in the configuration of 4 pods for takeoff, so it can only be downsized to 2 pods. If so, either take off with 2 pods, the electronic warfare capability is somewhat reduced, or take off with 4 pods. After taking off, you need to send another partner refueling aircraft to implement aerial refueling, which will affect the composition of an attack wave, the size of an attack wave, etc. In short, J-15DH with 2 pods landing and takeoff. I personally feel that there is still some beauty. Hopefully there's more video evidence later. Since we are talking about the release of attack waves by J-15 carrier aircraft, It is also the case that the video of the full deck attack on the aircraft carrier Shandong has been released this time, which can be said to be a very precious video. First, you can take a look at the order of the full deck attack of the aircraft carrier Shandong, and second, you can take a look at the scale of the full deck attack waves of the aircraft carrier Shandong. From the video screen, divided into two clips. In the first clip, the J-15 fighters take off from the two 105-meter-long light takeoff positions at the bow of the ship. It can be seen that the J-15 fighters enter the takeoff position from the rear of the flight deck in a group of two, and after entering the takeoff position, the flame shield is raised and the fighters are released immediately. After the release of the fighters, the flame retarder was lowered, and the following two J-15s continued to enter the takeoff position. A total of 5 waves of takeoff operations were carried out before and after, and a total of 10 carrier aircraft were released. However, considering that the J-15 of the first wave did not need to enter the takeoff position, it completed the preparation in the takeoff position and could take off in the first round. Therefore, when the J-15 carrier aircraft are released at the 105-meter takeoff line on the foredeck, theoretically 6 batches of 12 aircraft can be released. Referring to the second clip, the video of J-15 carrier aircraft taking off with 195 meters heavy load takeoff point, it can be found that the carrier Shandong is in full deck attack mode, and the 105 meters takeoff point of the carrier deck operation mode is still different from what people think. Previously, it was widely speculated that the 105-meter takeoff point, after the third round of flight, may give priority to the use of the carrier aircraft located on the port side of the flight deck reserve area, on the deck in a straight line to the takeoff line. However, from the situation reflected in the video, Shandong's ship using the 105-meter takeoff line to fly the order of carrier aircraft should be the first batch of takeoff line to fly the two ready. The second and third batch of flight is located in the takeoff line behind the landing runway to prepare for each of the two. The fourth and fifth batch was changed to fly on the right side of the flight deck, located in the island of each of the same in the implementation of preparation. The fourth and fifth batches were replaced by the release of 2 aircraft to the right of the flight deck, near the island of the ship, which were also undergoing preparations. After the bow takeoff position was completed, the 195-meter heavy takeoff position at the rear began to release the carrier aircraft, and the overall release sequence followed a U-shape. In other words, at the 195-meter takeoff line, the aircraft that had completed the preparation were the first to start flying. At this time, all the carrier planes behind have all put down the folded wings, started cold start, entered the warm-up state, and waited for the planes on the takeoff line to complete the release. And then the J-15 carrier planes located in the port side preparation area began to enter the takeoff line in order to carry out the release. After the release of the port side preparation area, the aircraft in the transom preparation area started to release. And after the release of the aircraft in the transom preparation area, the aircraft on the starboard side, near the island preparation area, started to release. And all of the aircraft followed the shortest traveling route and independently glided to the takeoff line to implement the release. From the video, 12 fighters can be released after the release, the remaining 2 shipboard aircraft next to the island, as a backup aircraft. Of course, these 2 videos, the one using the 105-meter takeoff line from the bow, and the other using the 195-meter takeoff line from the port side, with different flight decks and different weather conditions, are obviously spliced together. Considering the actual deck capacity of the Shandong, Ivan is inclined to believe that the 105-meter takeoff line, which is the first wave of the full deck attack, can actually release 5 batches of 10 J-15 carrier aircraft. The 195-meter takeoff line, which forms the second attack wave, can actually release 12 J-15 carrier aircraft in a single batch. With 2 attack waves, a total of 22 J-15s could be released. At this time, there should be 2 more J-15s on the flight deck as backup and fleet direct air defense cover aircraft, and 6 to 8 J-15s can be prepared in the hangar as backup aircraft. If these 2 backups are also released while using elevators to continue lifting aircraft to the deck for refurbishment, then the size of the full deck attack could be up to 24 aircraft. Of course, compared to the U.S. Navy's 2 full deck attack waves, can be released at once 30 carrier aircraft, and there are still 20 or so carrier aircraft in the hangar ready for the powerful fighting force. Shandong is still insufficient, can only release a wave, and then there is the second chance is gone. In addition to the full-deck attack mode, Shandong carrier we mentioned before, there are similar to the Soviet Union Red Navy aircraft carrying cruisers use rotation mode, including 3 8-aircraft formation or 2 12-aircraft formation rotation, each echelon of the stalling time of about 4 hours. This mode of attack, more suitable for a long time in the combat airspace air combat patrols and situational awareness, conducive to the carrier battle group within the other surface combatants launching heavy hypersonic vehicles, open the attack channel. So, there is still room for further exploration of the aircraft carrier Shandong. There should be, mainly not in the number of carrier aircraft and the size of the full-deck attack release, but in the replacement of the J15 carrier aircraft for the J35 carrier aircraft, the performance of the carrier aircraft, and the overall combat capability. After all, 4.5 generations of fighters compared to 5 generations of aircraft, its performance is still 1 generation behind. The next leap in combat capability of the aircraft carrier Shandong will be reflected in the 5th generation of carrier-based fighters on board. As for the possibility of putting AWACS on board, it's hard to say.